What makes us sick? Is it our poor diet, our environment, toxins in our home, toxins around us? I see clients all the time that have been through the hair analysis, the oats test, the food sensitivities, and they're still sick. So we're left with the question, what makes us sick? What about our relationships? What about toxic relationships around us in our families, our romantic partnerships, our friendships, even our coworkers, even our boss? This is so important. Healing from toxic relationships has been one of the pivotal parts of my healing journey, as well as something that I walk clients through every day. Because the truth of the matter is we can't heal in the same environment that made us sick. We just can't. And most people are unconsciously hurting us. The people that we find ourselves in these toxic relationships or this discord, they don't know what they're doing. And this is what we're talking about this week on my blog, middaypigeon.com. So by the time you're catching this replay, or if you're on here live, which I see a lot of you are, the blog's going to be released tomorrow. And I'm going to take you through my healing journey, my story with toxic relationships, and the cycle that I just kept repeating over and over and over, and what was taking the hit. One, my heart was, but two, my body. And our bodies, they keep the score. And we find ourselves in these dynamics, and a lot of us that have the homeostasis or the habitat in our body that is a hospitable environment for chronic illness, usually we're sensitive and we're empathetic. We're willing to carry more than our share. We create this environment that is ideal for these dynamics in these relationships. So a little bit more about that dynamic and an example that I can give. I'll never forget when I heard a teacher teach this to me, and all these resources, all my teachers, the books, the blogs, everything that I've been through will be on my blog post for this week. So these dynamics, they're everywhere. They're in our romantic relationships, our bosses, our family members, even our kiddos. We're in these dynamics with them, and we are essentially, when we're battling chronic illness, when we have autoimmune, something going on in the body, it's more than just the physical. So we have to look at all the parts of our life. And these dynamics can show up in anything. And the way not to go about healing them is to play the victim and blame the other person. My health is bad because this person treats me this way. Most people unconsciously are hurting us, but we are consciously, and sometimes subconsciously, and we'll get into this, choosing to stay in the dynamic that's in the limiting belief that's creating this cycle. And usually we don't want to be in the relationship, but we have these limiting beliefs like, well, maybe they'll change, or this is a really stressful time, things will get better, or I can't afford to really leave the relationship financially. All of these things that are deep within us that create really the reason that we stay in this environment. And there's something deep within us to be healed. So if you have a toxic relationship in your life, think about it like an invitation to heal. I'm trying to see the comments. Okay, I'll get to the comments. It's an invitation to be healed, to go deeper within, to look at what's there. So think about it like this. If you are attracting all these bees to yourself and you're like, oh, get these bees out of here, I want to get these bees out of the way, then you must have like a honeysuckle flower of sweet nectar. Think about it in your heart, in your chest, that's attracting this unwanted, pestering source to you. If you're someone you're like, I feel like I'm a good person, why do bad things happen to me? I always find myself in these dynamics. There's something within to be healed. So this dynamic, and this is probably the most common one that I see, that I've been through, that I see clients carry. I think we attract what we reflect, and part of my healing journey, I see a lot of the same things I've been through in my clients, just through energy and attraction. And it's this dynamic we find ourselves in as highly sensitive, highly empathetic people. So I'll give you this example. And this is the example that I was getting to that I've never forgotten, and that's really changed the way that I can understand this in my life, and then I can give this to other people. So imagine you're in your house and you see this dog, the stray dog we'll call it, walking just outside your house, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's that dog's by itself? So you go to investigate and you check it out, and you see that this dog has a spear in its back, and you notice that the dog doesn't want help with the spear, but the dog's really cute and you really like the dog, so you invite the dog into your backyard. You think, maybe if I just get this dog into some safe environment and we spend more time together, I can help it with this spear in its back. And every morning you wake up, you're super pumped to see your pup. You go out there and the dog puts on the most wonderful show, licking your face, wagging its tail, and you feel like $1,000,000. This dog makes you light up. You make this dog feel safe and held, and it's a great relationship you have going on. You take it out, its food, everything's going really well. Until one day you go out there and the dog is just laying down. It doesn't want its food. It's not feeling well. And you're like, I know what it is. It's that spear in its back and I want to help it. So you go to help the dog. You go to help it with the spear and it violently attacks you. Say it bites your face. And you're stunned and you go inside and you shut the door and you can't understand why this dog came after you like this. And your first thought is, I should have the dog leave my yard. But most people in this dynamic, they don't have the dog leave the yard. So they're in their house for a while, recouping, and the dog comes up to the back door, is licking the door, giving you the sweetest face. And you're like, how could I be mad at this dog? So you go outside, it cuddles in your lap, it licks you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I think things are gonna get better. And then this cycle happens over and over. The dog bites you, you're wondering why you got bit. And most people in this dynamic are like, how could I release this sweet dog out of my backyard? How could I do that? This dog is in pain, this dog is hurting. I need this dog. This dog has become a part of my livelihood, probably subconsciously more than consciously, and this dog needs me. And as empathetic, sensitive people, we're in between a rock and a hard place. But the point is, it's not whether you release the dog or not, it's to look at the wound that allowed to bring in the dog in the first place. And a lot of us have these limiting beliefs, these traumas, these wounds within us that attract these dynamics of relationships. And so some people, one theory out there and that is taught is boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And boundaries are important, but boundaries are just a tool to create a safe haven around yourself while you heal. When you have that part of you and you healed, when that dog's walking by your house, you're not thinking, oh, how can I take this in and help this dog? You're like, wow, that dog's in a lot of pain. I'm going to let it keep walking. So I hope that makes sense. And I take you through these dynamics on my blog this week, my story. I'll get a little personal and tell you guys what I've been through, where I was at in my healing journey, and then where I find myself now with relationships and kind of on the other side of this healing, because the body wants to get well. Think about it like that sweet honeysuckle flower that's drawing all those bees to you. You draw these bees to you, and the body's the one that gets stung, and the body gets inflamed, and the body's carrying all this wounding. So if you're dealing with chronic illness, if you're dealing with autoimmune disease, depression, anxiety, just pain, something that you know you want to shift in your life, there is healing for you. And in my experience, it's come through some pretty unconventional ways. I was in therapy for years and it helped and it was great. But the subconscious parts of us, they really need healing. And those are where we can make the shifts. And this is what I talk about all in my blog. So you can go to middaypigeon.com and check out Healing from Toxic Relationships. And just remember that there is healing for you. If you're struggling, because I've been there, and a lot of people with you listening to this live or this replay or in this community, they've been there, they are there. And it's so important that we look at all of the areas, examine all the facets of our life that can be making us sick so that we can get to healing. Because our body's healing, it's so much more than the food, right? It's so much more than the perfect diet, the perfect supplements. It's healing the energy and the emotions that we carry. Yes, I love that dog analogy. I'm telling you, once I heard that, everything shifted. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm taking in this dog and this dog is biting me and I'm getting ticked off at the dog thinking it's, I was playing the victim for a long time thinking that dog needs to change. I need to fix the dog. I need to help the dog. And I talk about this in my blog. I was like, if I just give the dog a little bit better food or love the dog a little bit more, the dog's going to stop hurting me. But that wasn't the case. So I hope this finds you where you're at, inspires you that your healing is possible, and that there's always more.